A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has...
Also, guys, I hate being on fucking YouTube, so smash the fucking like button. Okay? And I'll stay on here a little bit longer. If we don't get to at least 3,000 likes, I'm going to get the fuck off this platform and go to Kick and Rumble only. I hate YouTube with a passion. You guys know this. Lose money being on this piece of shit platform. So do me a favor, smash the like button. That's the least you guys could do. And I got a bunch of retards in here as well that are clearly new here that don't know anything about geopolitical affairs in the Middle East. So, yeah. Smash the like button for me, guys, on YouTube.
Has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and...
They chant death to America was because we put them under crippling sanctions and we assist the Israelis with bombing them and assassinating their scientists and generals. That's why. Because of our poor foreign policy that's run by Zionists.
Mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels and international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer. From Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts. And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens hostage. It was brutal, something like the world has never seen before. Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been
lots of fake news here.
In the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought attack repeatedly. We warned them never to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed
Translation in Israel
overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the
full-on war. Here we go.
Region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs, as they are sometimes called, to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces. I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran.
Bro.
We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way, and we trust that, with his help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the world, and they will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or, in the alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity.
Bruh. We really are going to war, bro. Holy shit, man.
Or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight.
Yeah, start a new war.
Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you
mean give what the Jews want?
Respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass. May God bless the brave men and women of America's armed forces. May God bless the United States of America.
Bruh.
May God bless you all. Thank you.
Fucking horrible, dude. Fucking horrible. All right. Literally, yeah. It's happening, guys. We are at war, my friends. The United States launched a major attack. Boom, boom, boom. Mr. Trump said 8-minute video on social media. Yep, we covered that already. The crisis' latest tension with Iran began after Trump vowed early January amid. Okay. United States bomb Iran's nuclear facilities. Yeah, bro, this is no chaos into Iran.
Yeah, you know what I'm surprised that he didn't mention about like the Strait of Hormuz, like, you know, any global disruptions of supply of, you know, whether it's oil.
Yeah, he's not going to talk about any of that.
He didn't address any of that stuff. I guess maybe those will come after.
He's not going to mention that because he knows, well, number one, most Americans are retards, don't even know where the Strait of Hormuz is. Number two, They're not going to understand the, significant economic ramifications of closing down the strait. Even for a few hours, we saw the barrel prices go up significantly. And he also is not going to mention how the Chinese have supplied the Iranians with quite a bit of new technology that counters American stealth. So, we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. I know that right now they're preparing for retaliatory strikes.
Just sorry, breaking news, Iranian news agencies, including IRNA, are facing a cyber attack. So I think you're right, Josie. Sorry, continue, Myron.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, Trump is going to make sure that he doesn't talk about any of the risks of what's going to happen here that could hurt the American public, like the economic ones with the oil prices, food prices going up as a byproduct of oil prices going up. The fact that, the Iranians possess capabilities that can actually, really hurt aircraft carriers and destroyers. So, he's going to make sure that none of that stuff the American public doesn't know about, because most Americans are not really too familiar with, foreign geopolitical affairs. They just see the prices go up and they don't know why. And they're like, what the fuck is going on? But yeah, he's not going to mention any of that.
He had to give an 8-minute diatribe as to why he's doing this, because he knows it's bullshit. Like, he had to propagandize everything.
Yeah, he used the USS Cole. That's crazy, bruh. Like, the USS Cole? Like, what? Like, bruh, that's what they used for 9/11. That's the case that FBI agent Ali Soufan ran, right? That was one of the biggest justifications to go after Osama bin Laden. You know what I mean? So when I saw him pull out the USS Cole reference, I was like, oh my God, here we fucking go, bro.
It's desperation.
So, yeah, it's huge desperation. And you can make the argument about, they fund acts of resistance, they're, terrorist backers, blah, blah, blah. But you got to understand that the reason why the acts exist is because of Israeli aggression in the region, right? The Israelis are just an unchecked force that bullies everyone in the region. And they've been trying to destroy Iran since literally 1979. So that's kind of what's been going on. So we'll see what happens. This is not going to be good for any party, though. I think this is an L for everyone involved. Oh, this is great, Bert. Can you explain the ways that this war is going to affect us in the U.S.? Okay, sure. I could go ahead and explain that. So here's what's going to happen. Okay, the thing that Trump is not talking about is this thing right here. Okay, all the Americans here need to understand that this is going to affect you. Okay, it's absolutely going to affect you. Why? Because this little strait here is responsible for roughly 20 to 30% of the world's oil and energy transportation. Okay, now the Strait of Hormuz, right, is a very small, corridor that a lot of our energy goes through. Now, the Gulf states heavily rely upon oil to go through here. The Iranians can shut this thing down, and they've proven that they can shut it down. They shut it down a couple of days ago as they were running military drills with the Russians and the Chinese. Okay? And oil prices went from $50 a barrel to somewhere in the 60s to 70s. Okay? If they shut down this strait, which again, somewhere between 20 to 30% of the world's oil goes through this fucking little narrow way. It's only about 20 miles, right? At its narrowest location. That is going to be big problems. Now, of course, I knew that there'd be one retard in the kick chat that says Venezuela's our answer. Hey, dummy. Hey, dummy. We haven't had the time to fully extract all of the oil out of Venezuela. Dummy. Number two, just because our oil, roughly 12% of our oil comes from this region, doesn't mean that we're not going to still feel the effects. Live in a globalized world, retard. When you live in a globalized world, that means if there's pressure in one location, it's just a matter of time until you feel it in another location. I'll give you a perfect example of this. Back in 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, everyone was like, oh my God, this sucks. But if you notice, what was the biggest conversation or topic of conversation during the campaign in 2024? Well, immigration, right? Crime, etc. But another thing was inflation. The milk and eggs, right? And the bread was too expensive. You want to know why the bread was so expensive? Because Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe. If Ukraine is under conflict, guess what? They can't manufacture bread to the same level. If they can't manufacture bread, that creates a strain on the supply chain. When a supply chain has strain, that means it has to go somewhere else to continue to supply the chain. Guess what that does? That increases prices, supply and demand. Very simple, basic economic concepts. So though a war might be on the other side of the world, you are going to feel it at some fucking point, chat. For the idiot that said, we got Venezuelan oil. That is retard, hillbilly mindset. We live in an interconnected, globalized world, my friend. Okay? So here's what's going to happen. Oh, it says Graber, by the way. Fantastic question. Fantastic fucking question. W question, bro. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to see the price of barrel spike. The price of a barrel of oil spike. We're talking about from $50 to $60 to closer to 100. We might even see it go up to 200, 150 to 200. You know what that's going to do? You're going to feel that at the pump, buddy. Okay? Filling your tank just went from maybe, let's say you got a fucking truck, $50, now it's going to cost you 60, 70, $80. And it's only going to get worse as time progresses. Also, keep in mind that we've been using our petroleum reserves in the United States since the Biden era. Our emergency strategic petroleum reserves. That's another reason we invaded Venezuela. Now, here's another thing as well. The Chinese lost Venezuela to us. So now the Iranians have stepped up and are supplying oil to the Chinese at a cheap price. The Chinese get roughly 15% of their oil, which I predict is going to go up from there because, again, they lost Venezuela. The Chinese are heavily involved and heavily incentivized to support Iran. They don't want American influence in Iran. And they don't want to lose cheap oil. Also, the Russians have a vested interest because they don't want U.S. Because here's what's going to happen. If Iran falls, they're going to put a pro-U.S. leader there. That is a big fucking hit to BRICS. Okay? So there you go. I hope that, guys, give me ones in the chat if that all makes sense. But that's how you guys are going to start feeling this as Americans. You're going to feel it at the pump, or you're going to feel it at the grocery store. By far. Those are the first two ways you're going to feel it. If you guys hold stocks and crypto, you all feel it there too. If you got gold, good job. You're going to make a bunch of money, nigga. If you're holding gold, you niggas are good.